All right, this page should be in front of you. Rounding to the nearest whole number, part 2. If you watched the video previously, we worked on rounding on a vertical number line. If you're just watching this one, we're going to round just looking at the numbers. Either way is a perfectly acceptable way to round. So let's begin. Read the question with me. What is the value of 3 and 317 thousandths when rounded to the nearest whole number? So I'm going to write 3 and 317 in the box. I'm rounding to the nearest whole number. I'm going to circle my whole number, which is 3. Now, we know that 3 and this decimal is either going to round down to 3 and 0 behind it, no decimals, or up to 4 and there's no decimals because we are rounding to the nearest whole number, which is either 3 or 4. So we don't even need the zeros and the decimal. Now somewhere on your page, I want you to write 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I want you to draw a line next to 5 with an arrow going up, and everything else goes down. Okay? So, you've probably heard this thing, 5 and above, give it a shove, 4 and below, go down low or let it rest or something to that effect. So when we're rounding, we look at the neighbor, the number to the right. And he is going to be what we call the bossy neighbor. He's going to tell this guy what to do. All right, so this 3 is bossy. And he says to this 3, I'm a 3, and 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 always round down. So you are going to round down. So this 3 then has to round down to 3. So when we round 3 and 317 thousandths to the nearest whole number, our answer is 3. Now let's try it on the next one. What is the value of 2 and 77 thousandths? So I'm going to write 2 and 77 thousandths when rounded to the nearest whole number. Since I'm rounding to the nearest whole number, I'm going to circle the whole number, which is 2. Because a whole number is not a decimal or a fraction. So the 2 is not a decimal or a fraction. So 2 and 77 thousandths is either going to round down to just 2, or it's going to round up to 3, which we did this on our number line. So you look at the bossy neighbor now. The bossy neighbor is the 0 to the right. And the 0 is going to tell the 2 what to do. Now over here, we see 2 and 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 always round down. So the 0 tells the 2, hey, you need to round down. So the 2 is no longer 2 and 77 thousandths. It's now just 2. So when we round to the nearest whole number, 2 and 77 thousandths is 2. Now for the third problem. What is the value of 10 and 1/10 when rounded to the nearest number? So we're going to write our number, 10 and 1/10. The whole number is anything before the decimal. So before the decimal is 10. Circle 10. Now, when we round, we're either going 10 and 1/10 is either going to round down to 10 or up to 11, which is one more than 10. So the bossy neighbor here, number 1, looks over at the 10. And remember, 5 and above, give it a shove. It rounds up. 4 and below, rounds down. So the 1 is on the rounding down numbers. So the 1 tells the 10, hey, you need to round down. And 10.1 rounds down to 10. So 1 and 1/10 when rounded to the nearest whole number is 10. Now for the next problem. What is the value of 105 and 15/100ths when rounded to the nearest whole number? We're going to write our number in the box. 105 and 15/100ths. Now it's time to circle the whole number. The whole number is before the decimal. Circle the whole number. 105 and 15/100ths is either going to round down to 105 or up to 106. So we're going to look at our bossy neighbor. To the right of the whole number is the 1. And like we just talked about, the 1 is going to make the number round down to 105. So when 105 and 15/100ths is rounded to the nearest whole number, it is closest to 105. On the top of the right column, read the question. What is the value of 12 and 7/10ths when rounded to the nearest whole number? So I have written 12 and 7/10ths in the box, and I'm going to circle my whole number, which is before the decimal. 12 is my whole number. So 12 and 7/10ths will either round down to 12 or up to 13. So I'm going to look at my list of numbers over here. 5 or above, round up. Anything below that, rounds down. So we're going to look at the 7, the bossy neighbor. The 7 rounds up. So the 7 is going to tell this number, we need to round up. So 12 and 7/10ths becomes 13. Now let's do the next number. What is the value of 4 and 5/10ths, or 4.5, when rounded to the nearest whole number? So I'm going to write 4 and 5/10ths, or I usually say 4.5. I wrote it in the box. I'm going to circle my whole number, which is the number before the decimal, 4. 4 is either going to round down to 4 or up to 5. So when we look at our number line here, 5 is here. So 5 or above, round up. So because this is a 5, my bossy neighbor says this number needs to round up. So 4.5 rounds up to 5. So our answer is 5. All right, I would like you to do these two problems on your own. I will explain them, but right now I want you to pause the video to see if you can follow the pattern that we've been doing and do it by yourself. Try it by yourself once. If you get confused, hit play and I will explain it. Okay? But first, really try to push yourself and do it yourself first. So you're going to round 6 and 82 hundredths. Write it inside the box, and then I want you to figure out what you're going to round down to or up to, and figure out using this number line to figure out if it rounds up or down. Do the same thing with 72 and 497 thousandths. If you haven't paused the video yet, this is the time. Pause it now. All right, I hope you tried to solve those problems by yourself. If you did try, I am so proud of you. All right, let's check your answers. Here we have 6 and 82 hundredths. We're going to circle our whole number because that's what we're looking for, which is 6. And we're going to either round down to 6 or up to 7. How are we going to know if we round up or down? We're looking at the bossy neighbor. He's going to tell us 8. Do we round up or down? With 8, we always round up. So this number, 6 and 82 hundredths, rounds up to 7. So your answer should be 7. Let's do the next one. 72 and 497 thousandths. Circle your whole number. 72. 72 and 497 thousandths either rounds down to 72 or up to 73. How can we tell? We're going to look at the number next to the whole number, 4. 4 always rounds down. So 4 tells this whole number that we have to round down to 72. So what number is closest? 72. Great job!